Our top story at 8 o'clock, at least 120 suspects from the notorious HILLBROW's Venin Court and Stensbyhof buildings have been arrested.
Countless criminal organizations plaguing our communities are merely marionettes manipulated by the Italian mafia. Have you ever fathomed the existence of certain areas where peril hides at every turn, where lawlessness and aggression prevail, and a battle for survival unfolds each day? Accompany us as we venture into a bone-chilling expedition through the top 15 most hazardous neighborhoods worldwide. The narratives we have in store will send shivers down your spine. Number 1. Renacimiento, Acapulco, Mexico. Welcome to the Renacimiento, a neighborhood characterized by graffiti-covered pharmacies, burnt market stalls, and empty shops, a stark contrast to its once lively atmosphere. This place has now become a ghost town, overshadowed by the prevalent violence that has engulfed it. However, referring to this situation as a mere drug war would be a severe understatement considering the unfolding terror. Acapulco has long been grappling with gang violence, placing it as the third most violent city in the world based on a 2020 Statista report. The dominant drug cartel in the state of Guerrero has been dismantled for 10 years. What remains are various smaller gangs, such as 221 or Los Locos, that have taken control of the streets. These gangs form intricate networks with representatives from larger drug cartels who hire them for their services. Among all this chaos, Renacimiento stands out as the epicenter. Renacimiento is like a real-life war zone, where assassins freely roam and carry out carefully planned military-style attacks. Adding to the brutality, this violence spares no one. Security guards, taxi drivers, and small business owners are all considered fair game by these heartless gangsters. Although the police have managed to eliminate a few gang leaders, the omnipresent danger persists, leaving residents yearning for the days when the beaches were full of tourists. It is a twisted reality where the only sound heard is gunfire, and the sole objective is survival. Number 2, Middle East, Baltimore, Maryland. Middle East, a section of Baltimore, has become synonymous with danger and dilapidation. It gained notoriety through the HBO series The Wire, which used its rundown row houses to portray social distress. However, Middle East is not merely a fictional place. It is a real neighborhood plagued by housing abandonment, urban decay, and a surge in crime. Despite its proximity to Johns Hopkins Medical Center in East Baltimore, Middle East is far from being a safe refuge. Shockingly, the rate of violent crime in this area is 837% higher than the national average, which is truly astonishing. Tragically, in 2001, the city of Baltimore and Johns Hopkins initiated a major redevelopment effort in Middle East, resulting in the destruction of numerous row homes and the displacement of families. Since then, this redevelopment has remained a highly controversial issue within the city. Despite these efforts, crime continues to pose a serious problem in Middle East. The distressing levels of crime and violence are reflected in below-average household incomes, house prices, and graduation rates compared to the rest of Maryland. Although there has been a slight decrease in crime year after year, residents still face a 1 in 10 chance of becoming a crime victim. Recently, the Baltimore police launched a recruitment campaign with the slogan, "The Greatest Comeback Story in America." But to the local population, this may seem like an unrealistic dream. Due to its ranking as the deadliest major city in America by Politico, Baltimore's level of violent crime, particularly in Middle East, serves as a grim reminder of this dire reality. Number 3, Barrio Medina, San Pedro Sula, Honduras. The reason why the sun sets early in Barrio Medina is quite significant. As darkness falls, the streets are dominated by ruthless gangs from Barrio 18 and Mara Salvatrucha, who maintain control over this neighborhood with an iron fist. Every corner of the community is permeated with fear and tension. It is not merely about petty theft or occasional fights, but rather, the level of violence experienced here is beyond imagination. Innocent people are forced to flee for their lives as the gangs continuously battle for dominance and territorial control. Gunshots reverberate through the streets, signaling the ongoing struggle for power. The police, whose duty is to protect the citizens, are nowhere to be found. Corruption runs rampant, with law enforcement officers being just as likely to receive bribes from the gangs as they are to serve the public. Regrettably, this scenario is just a fraction of the overall crime situation in Honduras. The nation is grappling with issues such as drug trafficking, gang warfare, political instability, and land disputes that tear communities apart. The outcome is a deadly combination of lawlessness and corruption, turning Latin America into the world's most dangerous region. It is astounding to consider that despite accounting for only 8% of the global population, this region is responsible for an astonishing 42% of all homicides worldwide. Barrio Medina is a place where nightmares become a reality. Number 4, HILLBROW, Johannesburg, South Africa. HILLBROW, once an affluent area in Johannesburg, has transformed into a neighborhood plagued by crime, poverty, and overpopulation. It has gained a reputation for violence, assault, and abuse, causing constant fear among girls of being attacked and harassed, and boys worrying about local gangs, physical violence, and substance abuse. Efforts by community-based services and shelters aim to assist adolescents dealing with lack of funding, instability, and difficulties in networking. Some young people have discovered ways to cope by seeking refuge in community theaters, churches, and other safe spaces. However, for many, escaping the danger and trauma of HILLBROW seems impossible. A doctor at HILLBROW Clinic described the conditions as reminiscent of a war, with the violence spilling over into the clinic. On one particularly dark day in this perilous environment, the clinic ran out of resources, and overwhelmed doctors struggled to keep up with the influx of injuries and violence. The doctor recounted the horrifying scenes that unfolded, including a tragic incident where a 6-month-old baby was shot in the head, a man dying from stab wounds, patients attacking each other, and a mob attempting to break into the clinic. Due to a shortage of chest drains caused by the high number of chest stabbings, medical staff had to resort to using tubes meant for ventilating patients. Basic medical supplies, such as tape for IV lines, were also depleted, resulting in the use of bandages instead. The situation felt comparable to a war zone, with gunshots filling the air and access to help was scarce. HILLBROW now stands as one of the most perilous locations on Earth, contributing to Johannesburg being ranked as the 4th most crime-ridden city in the world. It is a bleak and terrifying reality that the people of HILLBROW face daily, with little hope for change or improvement. Number 5, Trenchtown, Kingston, Jamaica. Trenchtown, a name that became renowned when Bob Marley asked the haunting question, "Can anything good come out of Trenchtown?" It is a place where walking to school is feared by children, where turf wars and gang violence prevail, and where the youngest and most vulnerable become casualties in the midst of it all. This program immerses itself in the heart of Trenchtown, observing it through the perspective of its children who share their aspirations and dreams in a realm where violence and fear are an everyday existence. Situated in this bullet-ridden neighborhood, armed gangs resembling fatherless figures govern the streets while intoxicated by a perilous blend of cocaine-infused marijuana, fired up by a drive for dominance and authority. These groups constitute just a fraction of the various factions battling for control over Trenchtown's drug trade and political sway. Regrettably, this brand of violence is not exclusive to Trenchtown or even Kingston, Jamaica, which has a well-established reputation as one of the most hazardous cities worldwide. The severity of the violence is particularly concentrated within Trenchtown, prompting the implementation of curfews as a response to a surge in shootings. In June 2021, Demoya Hall, aged 16, and Elvin James, aged 23, fell victim to a drive-by shooting in the area, underscoring the ongoing peril faced by its residents. The U.S. Embassy even prohibits its personnel from venturing into the treacherous realms of Trenchtown. Unfortunately, the inhabitants of Trenchtown possess little trust in the police and security forces, accusing them of turning a blind eye to the criminals and gang members who unleash havoc on their community. This, coupled with the understaffed and under-equipped police force in Jamaica, has contributed to a crime rate 3 times higher than the regional average for Latin America and the Caribbean. In Trenchtown, hope appears to be a luxury attainable by only a fortunate few. Number 6, PEABODY-DARST-WEBBE, St. Louis, Missouri. Located in St. Louis, Missouri, there is a neighborhood that is notorious for its extreme violence. PEABODY-DARST-WEBBE, which is only a short drive from the famous Gateway Arch, is known for its shockingly high crime rate, which is 10% above the national average. The sound of gunshots fills the streets, serving as a constant reminder of the dangerous reality that residents face on a daily basis. Tragically, in 2022, 3 innocent individuals lost their lives in this neighborhood: a teenager in a playground, a man inside his own home, and a 43-year-old in broad daylight, all victims of young teenagers. These incidents highlight the alarming levels of crime and violence in the area, although they only scratch the surface. In 2021 alone, homicides in St. Louis rose by 40%, instilling fear in the residents of PEABODY-DARST-WEBBE as they navigate the perilous streets. In this neighborhood, the power lies with those who possess firearms, and anyone who incurs the wrath of the wrong people or gets caught in the crossfire pays the ultimate price. Number 7. Cape Flats, Cape Town, South Africa. Cape Flats, a collection of townships in Cape Town, South Africa, is an area controlled by gangs and marked by extreme violence. The high population density does not consist of individuals seeking a livelihood or raising families, but rather it is dominated by ruthless gangs with horrifying names such as the Americans, Hard Livings, Fancy Boys, and Dixie Boys. The level of violence is so severe that armed convoys of troops patrol the streets. Disturbingly, the gangs have easy access to weapons, thanks to a former police officer named Chris Prinsloo, who provided them with approximately 2,500 firearms a decade ago. The consequences have been a continuous wave of bloodshed in Cape Flats that shows no signs of abating. A report from 2021 highlights the occurrence of 12 brutal murders in just a few days, which included the tragic deaths of 2 toddlers, a pair of security guards, and a 24-year-old man hit by a stray bullet. Another report from March 2021 reveals that 14 individuals lost their lives to the prevalent gun violence in Cape Flats, while another 10 suffered serious injuries. It is akin to a perpetual nightmare for every resident, a constant threat looming day and night. Number 8. Sanchez, Taboada-Tijuana, Mexico. Sanchez Taboada neighborhood in Tijuana. Mexico is an unimaginable nightmare. Bravery is required to explore this area, where violence has completely engulfed the community. Criminal gangs dominate the streets, while the police, instead of protecting, pose a similar level of danger as the criminals themselves. Violence has become an expected and regular part of daily life, with gunshots ringing out frequently and people desperately seeking shelter to avoid the bullets. The trust in the police has deteriorated to the point that people no longer report crimes, viewing the authorities as just as perilous as the criminals. So, what is the root cause of this violence in Sanchez Taboada? It is widely known that the Tijuana and Sinaloa cartels hold a firm grip on this neighborhood, conducting drug and human trafficking, and spreading fear and terror among the residents. This area has become a hub for kidnappings, making it off-limits for many. According to the Citizen Council for Public Safety and Criminal Justice, Tijuana ranked as the world's most violent city in 2018, with an average of nearly 6 homicides per day. However, the situation in Sanchez Taboada surpasses even the city's already dire circumstances. If you wish to experience a taste of absolute despair and suffering, visit Sanchez Taboada in Tijuana. Number 9. PETARE, Caracas, Venezuela. PETARE, located to the east of Caracas in Venezuela, is a suburb overshadowed by darkness. This neighborhood has been consumed by an informal and unstable conglomerate of housing, receiving little to no assistance from public policies. With an astounding population of 369,000, PETARE stands as one of the most densely populated slums worldwide for understandable reasons. Poverty is widespread, and hope feels remote. Adding to the despair, PETARE's unique urban structure has allowed organized crime to thrive. The largest gang in the slum, known as the Alexis Gang, administers various sectors they have unofficially labeled Zonas de Paz, although this name is deceiving, as bloodshed is the true currency of this so-called peace. The gang partakes in abhorrent crimes like contract killing, drug trafficking, and extortion, rendering PETARE one of the most perilous areas in Caracas. Nevertheless, despite the daily horrors witnessed in PETARE, the slum's inhabitants have grown accustomed to the presence of the gang. They tolerate the crimes committed because, in return for their non-interference in local matters, the gang allegedly offers protection that substitutes for the Venezuelan police. It is a pact reminiscent of Faust, one in which they pay the price with their lives. Gang clashes occur regularly, perpetuating the growing darkness that consumes PETARE. Number 10. Felipe Camarao-Natal, Brazil. Felipe Camaro in Natal, Brazil should be avoided during a world tour due to its infamous reputation for violence. The neighborhood is known for a way of life that revolves around violence, making even morning walks to work unsafe. A horrific incident took place on Rua Santa Maria Madalena, where José Nildo de Souza Pinto, a 39-year-old man, was shot 8 times. His killers are still on the loose, contributing to the prevailing sense of lawlessness in Felipe Camaro. The prison system within the neighborhood also fails to provide safety, as evidenced by a brutal riot in 2017 at Al-Kaku's prison, resulting in the deaths of at least 30 inmates who were burnt and decapitated. With approximately 111 murders occurring daily in the city, Felipe Camaro is where one might encounter characters akin to Freddy Krueger. Unless you actively seek danger, it is strongly advised to avoid Felipe Camaro in Natal, Brazil, as it is not a neighborhood suitable for the faint-hearted or those lacking resilience. Number 11. CATIA-CARACAS, Venezuela. Buckle up and brace yourself for a journey through the perilous streets of Catia, a district in the western part of Caracas, Venezuela. This location is incredibly serious. It resembles a war zone where murders and kidnappings occur frequently, similar to how people casually grab a cup of coffee in the morning. The violence is not confined to the gangs alone, as political protests rock the streets, leading to chaos and devastation. While the wealthier individuals drive around in armored vehicles with bodyguards, the impoverished are left scavenging through rubbish to find their next meal. Gangs reign over the streets, and the authorities are either incapable of stopping them or simply indifferent. With a staggering rate of over 40.4 homicides per 100,000 residents in Caracas alone, it's no wonder that the city has gained a reputation as one of the deadliest capitals worldwide. Catia experiences the brunt of this crisis. It's a slum where gang violence is so prevalent that even garbage chutes are utilized to dispose of bodies. The gangs, known as malandros, consider their lifestyle a type of fashion statement. However, for these boys, it's a matter of survival. They must remain constantly vigilant and watchful for any potential threats. Leaving their designated area could result in an untimely death, as they risk crossing into the territory of rival gangs. Justice is rarely served in this place. Few killers are ever brought to trial, and even the official murder rate is among the highest globally. The government attempts to downplay the crime statistics as fear-mongering, but the facts speak for themselves. Survival is the priority in this environment, where even the slightest mistake could prove fatal by a gunshot to the head. Number 12. Camelicon San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Welcome to Camelicon, a harrowing neighborhood in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. The streets are empty, and the houses are ominously marked with the initials MS and number 18, representing the fearsome Mara Salvatrucha and Barrio 18 gangs. Journalists and media professionals are not exempt from the violence that plagues this area, with at least 51 reported murders since 2003. Unfortunately, the perpetrators remain unpunished, allowing the cycle of brutality to persist and intensify. Camelicon is a place where terror and chaos are normal occurrences, dominated by illicit activities such as drug trafficking, human exploitation, and extortion. PX-11 journalists ventured into this bleak landscape and encountered a desolate setting fortified with barbed wire, guarded by military personnel who acknowledge its status as a conflict zone. This aptly describes Camelicon, where conflicts are resolved through bullets and bloodshed. The neighborhood gained infamy after a tragic bus massacre in 2004 that claimed the lives of 28 individuals, primarily women and children. As reported by CBS, this incident triggered an exodus of residents, leaving Camelicon at the mercy of ruthless criminals who remained in control. Mother Jones had an unsettling encounter with a hitman who boasted of committing 17 murders, placing him in the same realm as notorious mass shooters and serial killers. Shockingly, he confessed his intention to continue killing for financial gain. This grim reality casts a dark shadow over the residents of Camelicon, who live in constant fear and desperation, grappling with the struggle for survival each day. Number 13. FRISCHKORN-DETROIT, Michigan. Now we find ourselves in FISHKORN, a localized version of hell on earth within Detroit. This particular neighborhood has gained notoriety for all the wrong reasons. Its crime rates are a shocking 431% higher than the national average, with violent crimes being an astonishing 1527% more prevalent compared to the rest of the country. Essentially, if you decide to walk down the streets of FISHKORN, there's a significant chance that you'll need to dodge bullets and seek cover for your safety. Need proof? Here's a chilling statistic. In FISHKORN, the probability of falling victim to a crime is a staggering 1 in 9. Yes, 1 in 9. It's almost like playing a deadly game of Russian roulette with your life. However, contrary to expectations, the police presence in this area is almost non-existent, leaving residents with limited support. The Detroit Police Department's Precinct 2, situated within FISHKORN, is one of the most perilous precincts in the city, with a homicide rate of 5.87 per 10,000. The attitude of the local business owners is disheartening, as they seem resigned to the eventual collapse of FISHKORN, waiting for it to crumble into ruins. Therefore, if you have any intention of venturing through FISHKORN, it is essential to equip yourself with a bulletproof vest and rely heavily on good fortune. Number 14. SCAMPIA-Naples, Italy. Scampia, a suburb in the north of Naples, is a stark contrast to the beautiful city. It has become infamous for its association with urban decay and the criminal underworld. The towering brutalist blocks called Lavelle, or the Sails, were constructed in the 1960s and 1970s and have become iconic for the wrong reasons. They serve as the headquarters for the Camorra, the Neapolitan organized crime group and the oldest mob group in Italy, involved in drug trafficking and other illegal activities. The area is known for its baby gangs, consisting of young men who commit violent crimes to gain recognition from senior members of the Camorra mobsters. These teenagers are armed with handguns by their mid-teens, and this is a result of the high unemployment rate in the region, which stands at a staggering 18.7%. In the mid-2000s, Scampia experienced a surge in violence as local mafia gangs fiercely fought for control of the neighborhood. Unfortunately, the authorities have largely ignored Scampia, except for occasional arrests of lower-level cartel members and intervention to remove bodies from the streets. Despite its state of decay, neglect, and isolation, Scampia is also a place where criminal wealth exists. Number 15. Complexo do Alemo, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Imagine a community where the sound of gunshots can be heard in the alleys every 30 hours. The people living in Complexo do Alemão, one of Rio de Janeiro's largest favela complexes, have become familiar with distinguishing between the sounds of fireworks and bullets. They have developed a keen awareness of how far the shots are and use this information to decide whether to seek shelter or continue their daily activities. In this place, urban guerrilla warfare is the norm. Drug traffickers take cover behind walls that serve as trenches, ready to confront approaching police officers in the hilly streets and narrow pathways. Even police bases become targets, leading to exchanges of gunfire between officers and criminals, sometimes even inside the homes of residents. Those unfamiliar with favela life struggle to grasp the daily reality of this place. But for the residents of Complexo do Alemão, it is their personal war zone, and their anxieties are well-founded. The constant fear of a stray bullet taking their lives or being shot at close range hangs over every decision they make. This small city within a city encapsulates Rio de Janeiro's ongoing battle with gang violence. Thank you for tuning in. Which of these areas made you feel unsettled? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.